Well, first of all, research is finding that's not the best way to do it. And secondly, we have some teachers saying now, because of accountability, like what we were talking about with Dawn and grading, with No Child Left Behind, that some teachers were saying, I can't take a student teacher. I cannot afford to leave my class for 3 weeks. You don't have to. And again, research is showing that's not the best model. But as far as our teacher candidates going into the cooperating teacher and saying, oh, they told me at the university I have to use the co-teaching model. No, we didn't. That's totally up to the cooperating teacher. But I did ask our teacher candidates today, are you all very comfortable with co-teaching strategies? Are we hitting that in our courses? We don't want to be sending you out saying, we suggest the co-teaching model, and having everybody going, okay, what is that? Yeah, they are all very familiar with it. They're all very familiar and very comfortable. So let's take a look at the co-teaching method. The rationale for it, and this is Trent Atkins. I don't know if you've ever had a chance to meet Trent. He is the chair of the Curriculum and Instruction Department, and he's going to say a few words in a minute about the portfolio. But he's a great researcher, and he's a great believer in data-driven decision-making. Why are we teaching what we're teaching? Why are we doing it this way? And why we do it this way is because the data is showing us. And it makes sense. You have 2 heads are better than 1. So how does it work? They lesson plan together. They decide what strategies might work together for different activities. The cooperating teacher early on maybe might take a lead and then keep bringing the person in too, so in a way it starts gradually increasing. And the cooperating teacher can still leave the room. And we do still think that's a good thing to do, because you know how students act differently when the regular teacher isn't there. And then move toward alternating. The classroom teacher can leave, and you're not expected to co-teach for every lesson. So these are some of the strategies. How do you feel about the strategies? Are you feeling like you understand them? How about our new people? Are you okay with this? You know, it's nice in your
What's
packet.
that website?
Oh,
What's the University of...
Katie, did you put a co-teaching?
There's an
handout?
excellent
Did you?
website.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
in the packets.
The co-teaching?
Yeah, well,
There's an excellent website.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter, I don't see it.
Who are the 2 names that are huge with co-teaching trends?
You asked me too quick.
Yeah, I have, well,
University of St. Cloud.
University of St. Cloud, that's right. It's really good out there.
Yeah.
one of the strategies I wanted to point out was 1 teach, 1 observe, because in a way that kind of sounds like the way we were doing things, but it's different. Because maybe if you were coming into my classroom as my teacher candidate, instead of just saying, sit in the back and observe, I give you something to be looking for. It's like an assignment more. Would you sit here and watch this group for me and tally, so you're really getting some data. The other ones are pretty much self-explanatory. Oh, I do want to go over lesson plans. That should be in your packet. There should be a lesson plan template, not stapled together, but in your pouch. In the front pouch, Katie says. A lesson plan template. Yeah. It's a template. Does that mean we're saying that's what they need to do for a lesson plan? No. And then we had some questions this morning about, do we have to do this for every lesson that we teach? That's definitely between you, them, and the cooperating teacher. But I know from my own teaching, I had a little tiny box that I wrote myself notes in. But then if I was sick, I was in my pajamas in the car driving to work to give them the detailed scoop on things. So do you think it hurts our teacher candidates to learn how to do a formal lesson plan? No. So that then when they are writing in a little box, they understand what they really are writing. I did kind of say something to them today about how they could kill two birds with one stone, and see what you think. When I went to observe, I always required a formal lesson plan. You do too? Okay. Do you see anything on this lesson plan that you hadn't seen on the templates that you've been having them use or they've been using?
Indian Ed for
That
all.
was the only thing, me too. I put that there on purpose, Indian Ed for all. According to the mandate, it's supposed to be in every subject area, maybe not every lesson, but every subject area. And in some cases, it can be the whole lesson, and others, it can be really easy. If you're talking about mobility, you might talk about how Blackfeet Indians constructed their teepees the way they did on purpose, so they could withstand wind and move. Okay, keep going. You just addressed Indian Ed for all.
Nancy, well, I do believe, and at every one of my board meetings, I get a report on Indian Ed for all and hear about how wonderful it's doing, and I don't discourage those that are giving the report by saying I'm out in the field and I know it's very hard for these folks to have an IEFA in all their lessons. But, and so as a compromise position for my student teachers, I have asked them to make sure that they include it in at least one of their formal. Good. Because some of them, it is truly very hard to incorporate. If you're teaching a curriculum on world history or math, actually, well, of course, it depends upon if you're in geometry, but you can always make a star quilt.
Right.
Geometry lessons, but so I just make sure, I tell them you absolutely have to show the IFA in one of the lessons. That's the law. It's not just the guidelines, it's the law. It was passed by the legislature.
So we put that on that template on purpose, so we can get that message out to our teacher candidates. But here's what I was talking about with, and see what you think on this, killing two birds with one stone. Between their beginning date and their midterm, they're supposed to have a video done, and they're supposed to critique the video. What I would say to my teacher candidates, if it doesn't make you too nervous, if I'm coming there anyway and you have to have a formal lesson plan for me, if you don't mind having the camera over there, you also have to have a formal lesson plan for that video component, so now you just killed two birds with one stone. And then you can do the same thing after the midterm for the second video.
And then what do you do with that video?
That's for them.
So that you
We
don't-
do have some kind of a thing, Katie, about people who are at a distance.
I know, I think that's.
And send their videos in. We had one gal send hers in. All right, here's what I've heard from someone. And I don't know, it might be somebody in this room, see if you remember hearing this. Didn't somebody tell us once that they have all of their teacher candidates over to their house and they watch the videos of each other? Well, they had a grand old time with that. It was a popcorn party type of thing. I personally have never watched one of my teacher candidates' videos, but that's certainly up to you. Just talking this morning to the teacher candidates, and when they heard about the video part, they know this. This is all, again, in that handbook. But they're like, well, do we have to do a formal lesson plan for the video? Uh-huh. And I said, how many of you have ever seen yourself on video? And it's like, that's the whole purpose of the video, is to see what you're doing and to hear what you're doing and then to improve and self-reflect on that and improve.
You do look for the self-reflection that they write, though, don't you?
You know, I'm going to tell you how you can kill two birds with one stone with that, too. I don't like killing birds, but yeah, I must, I don't know. I always had my teacher candidates write to me every week a journal. If they want to include that, they already have to do it anyway, and I want to hear about it. They could include that for their journal for me for that week.
I found that they were very good about emailing their reflections. More so than journal itself, too.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds great. That's what I think. It's all for self-reflection and for improvement, right?
Two things that I do is I have my student teachers contact me every weekend. I said, 5 minutes, it can be 2 minutes, whatever, just something, let me know how your week went. And when you have to do a reflection, for example, include that in there if they'd like to. And then the second thing that I do is when they do, I was going to say the second one, it'll come to me in a minute.
Yeah. On that lesson plan too, down at the bottom, it has reflection. So that could be something too that they could use for their journal or the reflection back to you too. Sally?
Since we're sort of on the topic of lesson plans, I have a question. When I started this job 5 years ago with Marlene, she told me in evaluating elementary students that what was required on the 6 observations were 3 language arts and then 1 math, 1 science, 1 social studies. And I have had suggestions from cooperating teachers in the Missoula Public Schools that say now that, and I don't know if that's the state law still or whatever, but they say now with all the emphasis on math that, and I thought, when I talked to them, I thought, well, maybe 3rd grade enough, but even the kindergarten teachers think we should change that to 2 maths, 2 language arts, and still the science, social studies, but that they should have 2 maths now.
Well,
They're teaching not over 90 minutes a day of math.
do you see why I think it's so good that we have a video and we're all here together? Let's all start on the same playing field, all right? There's no law, there's no mandate saying you need to see this, this, and this. But you should see this, 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 and this. So I always try to schedule my observations that I saw language arts, I saw math, I saw social studies. Sometimes you're hard pressed anymore to be able to see a social studies or a science.
Yep.
Yeah. So we do what we do. But your whole thing as the kind of professional you are with the years experience under your belt, you know what to do. You know you want to see a full, what we're trying to give them is a full, broad experience. So you want to see that full, broad experience. So sometime you might go at 8 o'clock in the morning, sometime at 2, sometime that type of thing. Let's just quickly look at evaluation and grading. Let's go back to that handout with the follows the PowerPoint. Student teacher grades. And I know some of you will have to leave right at 3:30, and I don't know if this part will go over or if it could just be food for thought for you for later. But we're working on changing the wording a little bit on the grades. And I'll let you know what that's about because, again, your wisdom and input would be greatly appreciated with that. Section 1 for content and pedagogy, you get a grade, a letter grade. Section 2, Section 3. And that is a team process that's between you and the cooperating teacher. Usually when I go in for a final conference, well, always, I don't have the teacher candidate there. Because if the cooperating teacher and I have to dicker about a grade a little bit, the candidate doesn't need to be there. But then he or she's in the building still, and we go get them and have that person come in and sit down then. You are the one who submits the grade, the summative. Now I'm finding out from being new in this position that then I sit there and enter all of those grades. So if somebody forgets to put a grade down for one of those 3 sections, then we're on the phone calling, trying to hunt you down to say, what did you mean? So look at those carefully. You're the ones responsible for that. The professional development portfolio. Katie and I have noticed sometimes it's just called the professional portfolio, sometimes the professional development portfolio. We're really trying to go through things to make wording consistent. So if you find any of that stuff, let us know too. But that's worth 1 of no credit grade. And that's not given by you. That's given by the portfolio instructor. And their portfolio instructor is generally their advisor here in the college.